Good evening, and welcome to Social Discourse. I'm your host, Rhoda Stewards, and tonight we're diving into a critical issue shaping international relations. The U.S. tariff sanctions on India and the deepening of Prime Minister Modi's involvement in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. What does this mean for India's strategic positioning? Is New Delhi caught between Washington and Beijing, or is it carving its own path? Joining me tonight are two seasoned political analysts, Dr. Stammer, who leans toward a pro-U.S. perspective, and James Ford, who brings a more global, multipolar viewpoint. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Rhoda. Glad to be here.
It's a great pleasure being here, Rhoda.
Let's begin with the basics. Recently, Washington imposed tariff sanctions on certain Indian exports, citing trade imbalances and intellectual property concerns. Simultaneously, Modi has been very active at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit, strengthening ties with Russia, China, and Central Asian nations. Dr. Stammer, what's your take on the U.S. move and its impact?
The sanctions are not entirely unexpected. The U.S. has long raised concerns about India's protectionist tendencies and market barriers. What's new here is the timing. With India leaning more visibly towards SCO engagements, Washington is signaling, "You can't have it both ways." For the U.S., India is a critical partner in countering China, but that partnership depends on economic alignment, not just strategic cooperation.
Mr. James, do you see it that way?
Not exactly. India's engagement in the SCO is not about choosing sides, it's about diversifying partnerships. Washington often assumes allies must align fully with its economic and geopolitical vision. But India's foreign policy under Modi has emphasized strategic autonomy. By deepening ties at the SCO, India gains leverage, especially when facing trade pressure from the US. Instead of isolating India, sanction may push it closer to Eurasian partner.
That brings us to the bigger picture. Is India tilting east or balancing between east and west? Dr. Stammer, does Washington risk losing India as a reliable partner?
There's a risk, yes, but I don't think it's imminent. India depends heavily on the U.S. for technology, defense cooperation, and access to Western markets. The SCO is valuable, but it's not a replacement for what Washington offers. At the end of the day, India may talk about multipolarity, but it knows its long-term growth relies on a strong relationship with the West.
Mr. James?
I'd argue the opposite. India doesn't want to be boxed in by any single bloc. At the SCO, Modi is engaging with Russia for energy, with China on regional stability, and with Central Asia for connectivity. These are pragmatic moves. The US, by applying tariffs, risks undermining goodwill. India isn't abandoning Washington, but it is building insurance policies. That's what a 21st century multipolar order looks like.
Let's talk about domestic politics. Modi's involvement in the SCO, how does it play back home?
For Modi, the SCO platform allows him to showcase India as a global leader, not just a Western ally. But at the same time, Indian businesses will feel the pinch of U.S. tariffs, and that could create domestic pressure to keep Washington on side.
True, but domestically, Modi thrives on projecting independence. The optics of standing shoulder to shoulder with leaders from Russia, China, and Central Asia play well to the narrative of India as a Vishwaguru, a global teacher and leader. Even if tariffs hurt in the short term, the political capital he gains from being a visible player in multiple camps is significant.
So, we come back to the central tension. The U.S. says India is a strategic partner, yet it imposes trade penalties. Modi strengthens ties in the SCO, but insists he's not abandoning the West. Is this pragmatism or a dangerous tightrope walk?
It's a tightrope, but one India can't afford to fall from. At some point, it will need to lean more clearly toward Washington.
I see it as pragmatic. India is navigating a shifting world order by keeping all doors open. That's not weakness, it's strategic flexibility.
And that's where we'll leave it. The world is watching how India balances these pressures, and so are we. Thank you, analysts, for your insights, and thank you to our viewers for joining us. Stay connected. Good night.